Let's rate Derek Carr. Whoo! Controversial yet brave topic. This is polarizing. So, New Orleans Saints quarterback Derek Carr is maybe the most polarizing player in the NFL. It's really unbelievable how many people love him and put him in like a top 5 quarterback, and then how many people hate him and despise him. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm somewhere in the middle. So we'll talk about that in this video. We are watching Hunt Palmer, the Hunt Palmer show. Palmer, I just met her. Whoo, baby, I'm on fire today. Let's watch it react like only I can do. And while I do, ladies and gentlemen, get on down in the comments below. Ooh, sounded just like Elmer Fudd right there. Get on down in the comments below and react with me. I'm always down there responding to your comments, and I always appreciate any comment left.
We'll talk about a lot of things here. Sharief, let's start with the New Orleans Saints. I want to go a little bit big picture here and talk about Derek Carr. Now that we've seen 1 year of the Derek Carr era, we know about the injuries. We know about the offensive coordinator. We know about Michael Thomas drama and all that went into the offense. Where's your confidence level in Derek Carr as we sit here in April?
I will answer first. I'm no less confident in Derek Carr than before the season started last year. Like, I don't think last year changed much for however you feel about Carr. If you went into last season not happy with the Carr signing, you're probably still not happy with the Carr signing. If you went into last season positive about Carr, you probably still are positive about Carr because there were good and bad. I think both can be said about the Saints. Like, I'm no more bullish or bearish on the Saints than I was last season. The only thing that changed, truly changed, was the schedule. The schedule last year was really, really, really easy. Historically, I think maybe the easiest schedule a team has ever had, top to bottom, especially when you throw in circumstantial stuff like Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins not playing for the Vikings, Justin Fields being out for the Bears. Like, when you factor in all that stuff, when you factor in all those things, you know, it really could not have been any easier for us. I mean, we got the Packers when Jordan Love wasn't as good as he ended up becoming. We got the Titans with Ryan Tannehill still there. Like, we got every single team we played was easy anyways, but then we got the easiest version of that team. This year, even the fact that we're just going to Arrowhead, like, just throw that in there. We're going to Arrowhead. We're playing Kansas City at Kansas City. Just that alone makes this so much harder than the schedule we had last season. So that part has kind of pulled me back a little bit as far as excitement for the results. But as far as the team, I feel fine with the team.
Well, there's so many moving parts to this question. Derek Carr himself, offensive coordinator, offensive staff, offensive line, and, you know, you got rid of, you know, the players that you so-called don't want on the team, and Michael Thomas.
So I obviously do have to talk about Pete Carmichael and Clint Kubiak as being a change. It has to be better, you know, like getting off of Pete Carmichael into an OC that seemingly has a pulse is good. You know, like, that has to be a positive. But I'm not sure what that looks like. I'm not sure what the offense will look like. I'm not sure how his offense will run. I'm not sure. You know, this is the first time he's done this. This is the first time that Clint Kubiak has taken this San Francisco style or whatever, and he's trying to bring it into wholly his own. Like, this isn't an interim OC. This isn't a transitional OC. This isn't that situation. This is he's got full reign. He has the full reins of this offense. So I feel like it'll be better. Like, I feel like, no doubt about it, it'll be a better offense. But it's hard for me it's hard for me to really get a grasp on how much better without actually seeing the offense. I mean, I talked about this earlier on the channel. I haven't even seen Clint Kubiak in a Saints shirt. I haven't even seen him wear a Saints hat. So we're way ahead of talking about the offense. I still need to see him just as a human being. I mean, has anybody seen Clint Kubiak on a field, on a plane, in an interview, anywhere? The guy is mysterious.
Because you think he's a distraction. So now it's a clean slate for everyone, including Derek Carr. My confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say 6.5 right now.
Probably fair. I think that is fair. I would put it like a 7. I'd put my confidence level in the Saints offense and Derek Carr just as a whole at about a 7. And that's kind of where I was last year. Last year, before the season, I said, if the Saints can have a top 5 defense and the 10th-ish best offense in the NFL, we can win 12 games. Same thing this year. We need to have like a top 5-ish defense, a 10-ish offense, but we can't win 12 games because the schedule's so much harder. So kind of the same world. And a 10-ish best offense, I would say, yeah, about a 7. I feel that's solid.
I thought you were going to say something closer to 4. So that's better than I thought you were going to say. Is there some more confidence that comes with the way that he played once it felt like he got a little healthier towards the end of the season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I think you can take confidence, and this is why I really don't understand the whole, I don't want to. I think a lot of people, pundits, fans, whatever, I think they're taking the generic default of hating Derek Carr, hating Dennis Allen, hating the Saints. They just kind of feel like that. I've heard a lot of people, it's crazy. A lot of people are like, the Saints are irrelevant. The Saints are garbage. This is the worst team I've seen in my lifetime. I can't even watch the games on Sundays. This team makes me sick. Punt the franchise. We're tanking. And I have to remind them, we won 9 games last year. We're not, there's a lot of teams that win 3 games and then 4 games and then 5 games and they win 3. And they're fighting for their lives to get to 6 wins, 7 wins. The Saints had a down year, injuries all over the place. We cleaned house in the offensive side of the ball, and we won 9 games. And people acting are people. I tell you what, I'm not sure how this fan base would have handled the 90s. I don't know how they would have handled the Aaron Brooks, Jim Haslett era. Where it wasn't always like this for sure. If this is rock bottom, and that's what I have to remind people. Guys, Atlanta won 7 games last year. So the sky isn't exactly falling. So I really don't understand how you could be in the 4, like Hunt just said. I'm not sure where you could get 4 from, because the problem of Pete Carmichael and the offensive scheme and the strategy and the play calling, all of that is going to attempt to get fixed. So you can kind of quell that worry. You can kind of calm that part down. Okay, then go to the roster. Once Derek Carr got healthy, once he got healthy and kind of took a few weeks and took a while to get kind of on the same page with his team, we saw the infighting between Eric McCoy and Chris Olave and whatever else. Once that seemed to get settled, Carr was really good in the last 6-ish weeks of the season, and he was totally fine, totally capable. And I always say this. I always say the whole if one win goes this way or one win goes that way, it's a totally different season. And that is true. Just if you take the Green Bay game, Carr got hurt. We were up, whatever it was, 18-0. Carr gets injured. If he doesn't get injured, let's just say we win that game. Let's just take that one game in isolation. If Carr doesn't get hurt there, we win the game. All of a sudden now you're a 10-win division champion. You're a 10-win playoff team division champion with Pete Carmichael as your offensive coordinator. If Pete Carmichael as an OC can get a team to 10 wins in a playoff, that team has something. We were that close. We were a Derek Carr shoulder away from winning 10 games in the division, and everything would be totally fine. So I think, it's not all kittens and rainbows. It's not all the best thing in the world. I'm not saying the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl, but I do think there's enough there to kind of relax and say, okay, there were some good things. Are we the best team in the NFC? No. Are we the best team in the NFL? No. But are we rock bottom? Are we tanking? Are we that bad? Are we the worst team in the NFC South? No. So I think we'll be competitive with Tampa and with Atlanta. I think we'll drop games that we should win, and we'll win games that we should lose. So I think the Saints will be somewhere around 500, and I think somewhere around 500 is probably going to win the division. I think the division winner of the South will probably be a 10-win team right there. So you got to remember, 500 is 9-8. A little above 500 is 9-8. 10-7. So that's, I think, the goal we need to shoot for is right around there. Obviously, if we win 7 games or if we win 6 games, different story, right? We have really went backwards. If we win, 8 games and everything is there, like we don't have any crazy injuries or anything, same thing. We'll have a serious discussion, because now it's like we've gone backwards. So, but I think right now I would tell fans everything's pretty chill, everything's pretty average. We got to hope this team can find a way to get above average. That's about it.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I said 6.5. He got hot there at the end of the season. They started to figure out the offense a little bit more, figure out the players and the coaching. It's going to have to be obviously much higher than 6.5 in order for them to make the playoffs, because 6.5 might be the wins I may give them for this upcoming season, because I don't think they're going to be that good. But he could prove us all wrong. But the confidence level is mid right now for me. I consider 6.5 mid.
Would the confidence level be higher if I put the Saints 2009 offensive line in front of him?
Yeah.
My ranking and all that stuff, like the offensive line is a problem, obviously. The offensive line was a problem last year. And then Ryan Ramczyk is not playing. Do we draft an offensive lineman like that? Like those things, they'll get worked out. They'll get ironed out. If the offensive line is just the same as last year, which we would think overall will probably be the same level of production, unless we're 6 days away from potentially drafting a offensive lineman at pick 14. Is he going to play? Where is he going to play? Is he going to play right tackle? Is he going to play left tackle? Is he going to play left guard? Like what are we looking at here? So I'm holding back judgment on very volatile positions like that. Same with our edge, right? Like we didn't get any pass rush last year. Right now, it looks like we're going into it with Chase Young and Cam Jordan. What if Dallas Turner falls? What if we're going into this season with Dallas Turner and Chase Young? And what if Dallas Turner is a defensive rookie of the year? Like those things, those highly, highly volatile roster things, you kind of got to wait and see. You kind of got to wait and see if it'll be what the production level will be. Offensive line for us right now on April 19th, right now will be, something we just had to wait and see who's where.
Absolutely. If you gave me the entire 2009 team, I'd say it's like a 9. I mean, because you got playmakers all over the place.
I guess that's the crux of the situation. It's like, how much of this is that Derek Carr's not that good, and how much of it is just the ecosystem that they've put him in is not good enough.
The offense, the playmakers around him thing, this is where I really get confused. If you just look at the roster and the quote-unquote playmakers around him, I would put the Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Taysom Hill, Rashid Shaheed, like however you want to boil it down. You can throw Juwan Johnson in there, whatever, however you want to do it. I would put that up against a lot of teams, and I would say this is pretty similar. This is right there. I use this example all the time, but Drake London and Bijan Robinson, how are they better as a collective, as two players? Would you rather have Drake London and for just this season? I'm not talking about, because I know their ages are different, but just this season or one game, however you want to phrase it, would you rather have Drake London and Bijan or Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave if all 4 players are at their absolute healthiest and absolute peak? I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I'm saying they're pretty close. They're real close. Those two situations are right there. I mean, you look at Houston. Would you rather have Tank Dell and Joe Mixon or Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara? Or Nico Collins and Joe Mixon or whoever? Like, they're right there. Chris Olave is a legit player. Let's go to the Jets. Would you rather have Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall? Would you rather have Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall or Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave? I think the weapons playmaker roster pretty good. Pretty good. And Chris Olave, at this point, he might be underrated. Compared, when people just start throwing around wide receivers. Because I think people would be really quick to say, oh yeah, Garrett Wilson's the top 10 wide receiver. But then you look at everything and you're like, well, if he's top 10, Chris Olave's probably got to be top 10. So I don't know. I mean, I just don't think I don't think the playmakers of the roster or any of that is that bad. We're not great at overall. Like, we're not a great roster overall, but that's because of things like the offensive line, the defensive line, linebackers. Like, it's because of some fringe positions like that. But if you look at strictly our offensive weapons and playmakers, we're right there with a whole lot of the league. A whole lot.
Look, I feel like here's the number one thing with Derek Carr. I think he has to take accountability for some of the problems that happen. You got to stop being passive aggressive where you're kind of blaming others and not yourself. I think that's where it starts with Derek. And you saw a lot of that last year, little subtle shots that some of the teammates made. And sometimes he's a little, trying to dance around questions with the media. And it kind of came off as disingenuous at times. Once he starts taking accountability, I think things might change for him. I think he has to buy into the city, has to buy into the fan base in order for them to like him. I mean, plain and simple. Yeah, winning cures everything, but you also have to do the other stuff to make fans happy.
Nope, you pretty much just have to win. I don't give a damn if he buys into the city. I don't give a damn if he's disingenuous. I don't care about that at all. All I care about is if he wins. That's it. I don't care how nice he is. I've said this. I had to hear this all season with Pete Carmichael. If he's a great guy, if he's a friendly guy, if he's a personable guy, if he's nice to the media, if he's a great part of the community, run for city council. I don't care about that with my quarterback. I don't want to see Derek Carr handing out oranges at Crescent City, at the Crescent City Classic. I don't want to see him sweeping up the sidewalk. I don't care. I care about third down complete. I care about his completion percentage, touchdown interception ratio, our wins. He can be the prickliest pear of all time. You think Sean Payton was bought into the community and a great steward of the city? Sean Payton is one of the most prickly pear, a-holes that there is in the NFL. Not nice to the media, not always a personable guy, not always good to his players. Who cares? He brought a Super Bowl here. He made us relevant. Whatever. Same with Mickey Loomis. Mickey Loomis at times can be very arrogant and stubborn and whatever, and he's not exactly the best soundbite and all that stuff. I don't know. Whatever. Make a good roster. I don't understand that. I don't understand how, same with Carr's being disingenuous or whatever. That is this young man's opinion. And and that's to be very subjective. Some people think Carr is disingenuous. Some people think he's kind of a corny kind of guy. But at the end of the day, who knows? You can't please everybody. So all I'm really worried about is what happens on the field. I'm not worried about if Carr is a disingenuous person or if he's taking accountability or if he's all in on the city or whatever.
How do you think he's received in the locker room right now?
I think he's received better than he was at the beginning of the season. I think at the beginning of the season, when they started losing those games early on, I think Carr, Allen, Carmichael, all of them were taking some serious heat. And we talked about this during the season, but it's a perfect storm where the core of that team, the Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, even Chris Olave, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore, that core was brought in and immediately won. That core was brought in with Drew Brees and Sean Payton. There was a foundation there for the culture and a foundation for how the franchise was going to be run. They come in and immediately win and have a couple years of real success. Double-digit wins, NFC championship runs, divisional playoff game runs, winning the South, all that stuff. Then there's a huge cultural shift. You lose the greatest quarterback in franchise history. You lose the greatest coach in franchise history, and you don't replace them. You have Dennis Allen, and you have, at that time, the combinations of Trevor Siemian and Ian Book and Jameis Winston and whoever else. And all of a sudden now, those players who were used to winning and used to a certain thing and a certain brand standard and a certain whatever, they're not seeing it. They're not getting it. So Carr comes in, big contract. Carr comes in, getting all the media attention. Team struggles. There's communication issues. That's a perfect storm for the locker room not to receive him well. I think by the end of the season, he was received better. And I think the locker room probably thinks the same thing as the fans, where this guy's kind of corny. This guy's kind of a, John Cena wannabe, with all these motivational quotes and whatever else. They might think that, and It might be true. I don't know, but I guarantee you, if they would have won 11 games last year, I guarantee you Derek Carr would have been received in the locker room pretty well. So, not everything is a smooth transition, for quarterbacks or coaches or whatever else. I think Carr at times last year was received really poorly in the locker room. I think that is getting better. I don't think he's not Drew Brees. He's not. Drew Brees was a legitimate. You hear players talk about it all the time. Carr's not there, but Brees also had a Hall of Fame career, won a Super Bowl, all that stuff. So if Carr does those kind of things, maybe he will be Drew Brees. But I think Carr did a lot last year to save his locker room reputation, which is a huge first step.
I think it's. I think like the players say the right things, but if you want me to answer it honestly, I think like there's a split there. I just think there's some players who are like, Derek Carr, I'm not really feeling it. And some guys are like, yeah, he's our leader. We like him. Yeah, I think it's 50-50. I truly do think it's 50-50. Obviously.
I mean, if you've ever had like, I don't know what jobs y'all have, but if you ever had a job where like you get a new boss or you get a new supervisor or whatever, like you're always going to go into that kind of skeptical, right? Like you're always going to kind of go into it like, I don't know, this person kind of sucks. Like this person's kind of whatever. Like, I don't know. But pretty shortly, like they either prove to you that they're good or a bad boss/supervisor. And it's amazing how fast those relationships can change. Like how many of y'all, hands up, in the comment section, how many of y'all had a boss or a supervisor or even a coworker who at the beginning you didn't like, or at the beginning you thought was kind of weird, you thought was kind of whatever, and then a couple weeks later it turns out they're either cool or you like them or y'all are friends or whatever. I see it all the time. All the time I see people say like, the new person's kind of whatever, the new person's kind of weird, kind of quirky, kind of standoffish. Then you start understanding their personality traits, you start understanding who they are as a person, you start going through things together. Next thing you know, you're sharing memes and going out for drinks or whatever. Like it's just, that's very natural to be skeptical about someone that tries to come into your community, especially something as tight as a locker room, especially someone who's coming in with a lot of media, attention on them, a huge contract, all that stuff. So I think people tend to make more out of that than there actually is.
Michael Thomas hated Derek Carr.
Yeah.
I hate to use the word hated. He hated Derek Carr. And that's, he's gone now. Maybe it changes. Maybe the guy.
Yeah, but Thomas hated Allen and hated Carmichael and hated everything to do with the Saints.
Guys, like, when you get rid of the distractions and the guys who don't like get along with the teammates and quarterbacks and coaches, you get rid of those players, maybe things get better. But if you're,
I think Thomas was, Thomas had a lot of other problems too. Like he probably doesn't feel like his medicals were handled the appropriate way. He probably doesn't feel like how he was handled by the fans was appropriate. He probably doesn't feel like how he was handled by the as far as his contracts and all that was right. But and then of course, like I said, they started losing and Sean Payton leaves and Drew Brees leaves, and so I think Thomas's hatred was a lot deeper than just Derek Carr.
You're asking me based on what I saw last season, I'd say split 50-50. There's some guys who don't like him and some guys who do, but that's natural. You're not going to like everybody.
I agree with that.
How us humans are. You're not supposed to like everyone. That's just not how it works.
We'll see. And we'll get into some more Saints talk as the draft approaches here later on this month. All right, let's talk. Thanks for watching Hunt.
Boom. There you go. Man, these what is the network? ESPN 10, is it on here? 104.5. Man, I cannot believe they're still making each channel do these bumpers. Like the intro and outro. I've talked about it before, but if you're starting a YouTube channel, my advice would be do not waste the most important part of the video, the intro, like the first 15 seconds or whatever. Do not waste it on a generic intro. The outro is fine. I don't think the outro is necessary either, but the intro definitely has to hurt. The intro definitely has to hurt your algorithm, your SEO, your viewership, all that stuff. So, little pro tip from me. But let me know in the comments below what you think. What's your rating on Derek Carr? All the stuff we talked about in this video. Get on down there. Let me know. By the way, this is going out on the weekend before the NFL draft. We are live streaming the draft on Twitch and my Twitter and possibly other areas, but definitely those two. We'll be live streaming Thursday night of the draft, the first round. So if you want to watch it with me, it'll be on those channels. So make sure you're following the Twitch channel. Make sure you're following on Twitter. And then on Thursday, I'll go live for the entirety of the first round. We'll do like, Q&As, whatever. We'll have some goofs and gaffs. So links to everything is in the description below. Links to the Twitch channel, links to Twitter, all that stuff. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.